Hello and welcome. My name is Barry Good and I'm from the London School of Business and Finance. Today we're here to talk about marketing management, and our specific topic for today is customer and relationship management. It's my pleasure to introduce on our panel of experts Andrew Lancaster and Louise Mazinta. Andrew, would you like to say a few words and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Certainly. Hi, I'm Andrew Lancaster. I'm the Managing Director of Zy1 Limited. We're a digital marketing agency based in the north of the UK with clients nationally. We deal with all things creative and all things digital.
Hi, I'm Louisa Mazinta. I'm the CEO of themarketingsite.com. It is a portal focused on marketing and communication. I lecture on marketing at a local business school.
Welcome, both of you. Now, we've spent some time looking at the Singapore Airlines case study, and it's quite an interesting story, this, because we know that consumer trends in the airline industry seem to be going in the direction of budget airlines. So we've seen growth in companies like EasyJet and Ryanair, etc. And yet Singapore Airlines don't seem to be following that model, and that seems a little bit unusual. Andrew, I'd like to ask you what your initial thoughts are in response to that.
I think basically, Singapore Airlines has made a market for itself. It's service, it's quality, it's the user experience. As we were touching on earlier, I think to dilute that with trying to compete with the budget airlines would be the wrong move for them. I think go with what's been working for them, continue to build on the loyalty that they have from their business class, and really sort of stay away from the budget airline side of things.
Louisa, what are your thoughts on this? Because it does seem to be a little bit contradictory to what the market trends are saying, doesn't it?
Well, yes, in a sense, yes. But as Andrew said, is that they have absolutely established a market leadership in the premium high service arena. And to start diluting that by going with a low-cost solution with that brand would be a big mistake. They have gone the extra mile. They've always prided themselves in delivering a service and an experience that is uniquely Singapore Airlines. Okay. And it's worked for them.
Why do you think they've pursued this strategy? I mean, it does seem to be them either acting a little bit naively or just being determined in their vision and booking trends. What do you think it is about Singapore Airlines that have prompted them to pursue this route when everyone seems to be going in a different direction?
Well, it's worked.
Clearly it has.
It's remember that you have people who fly have different needs. You'll either have customers who are very price conscious, or you'll have customers who are very value conscious. So the price sensitive customers will automatically move towards the low cost airlines. The other interesting thing about the low cost airlines is they've opened up new markets. People who haven't necessarily flown as much in the past before will now fly because of the fact that they can get it at a lower price. However, there's a segment of the market that travel continuously, either on business or for pleasure, who are looking for something beyond just low cost. They want the frills, they want the experience, they want the level of service that an airline like Singapore Airlines can deliver.
Okay. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I think that's exactly it. I think Singapore Airlines have focused on the business travel, the people that are travelling regularly, the people that are using their frequent flyer loyalty schemes, and that's where they're focusing. I'm sure a huge proportion of their bottom line will be made up of the business frequent flyers as opposed to the consumer flyers, the people having the one-off annual holiday here and there, where the loyalty scheme doesn't really apply to them. It's not sort of at the forefront. And we were touching on the fact that, potentially if you had a number of airlines together all competing at a similar price, well then maybe you would go with the Singapore because it's that aspirational sort of flight that you hear about, that you read about, that you see in the papers when they have the newest plane. They were, I think, the first to launch a double bed whilst sort of up in the air. So I think it's that aspirational thing, and then also being very specific in their target market, okay, which is the business frequent flyer.
Okay. I mean, you've talked about, you mentioned loyalty programs a couple of times there. Let's go back to that and talk a little bit more about what they consist of and perhaps how Singapore Airlines have managed to capitalise on that approach. I mean, what's your understanding of how they've gone about this?
Well, I think historically sort of CRM, customer relationship management, traditionally has been made up of understanding who they are and sort of what they like. We then sort of take that sort of further forward with online and the eCRM, where it's understanding behaviours a little bit more. And actually sort of understanding not just who they are and what they like, but the things that surround them, the people that they interact with, and so on and so forth. And I think that's been their approach, is to understand what their frequent flyers want and continue to give it to them. Their frequent flyers obviously want that high standard, they want the frills that you touched on, and they continue to build on that.
Airline loyalty programs are really interesting, and that they almost become a barrier to exit when making the brand choice in terms of which airline you're going to fly, because you always want to get to the next threshold. You always want to be able to redeem the value, be it in an upgrade or be it in a free flight, based on the amount of points you accumulate. But the value doesn't necessarily lie in the price of the ticket. The value lies in the added benefits, being treated in a special way, getting access to a business class lounge, getting additional points because you've gone up a tier, etc., etc. They're very powerful strategies for locking customers into a brand decision because of the fact that they are working towards a sort of a points value.
Okay.
I mean, they've obviously targeted the people that aren't price sensitive. You know, so and that's kind of traditionally moving away from the consumer market that we're currently in, where everything is about price. That's why the budget airlines are doing as well as they're doing, because we're all trying to save money here and there. Whereas on a business level, you're not. Somebody else ultimately is brunting the cost. And I understand that there are some loyalty schemes where they're actually adding in different members within the business to one part. Would that sort of make sense?
Very often companies will accumulate the points themselves rather than giving it to the individual staff members, and use those points to fund either incentives for staff in terms of free flights, or use it to fund further business travel.
Now, companies that choose to differentiate themselves by offering premium service at premium price, they play a bit of a risky strategy there, don't they? Because obviously it's a niche market, it's a limited population, obviously they've got money to spend and cash in their pocket. What particular things do they need to be careful of if they choose to embark on a strategy like that?
Well, you're making an assumption that it is a small market, but you, as a company, you're looking for those customers who are more value conscious than price conscious, because you can get a higher margin out of the sale of the products to those particular customers. Also, in terms of the airline industry, business travel accounts for a much larger proportion of their overall sales than consumer travel, which tends to be more intermittent, whereas business travelers tend to travel on a more regular basis. So again, it's understanding that this is a value-based market. It's understanding that you want to differentiate yourself in a level of service and a level of experience that is so unique that your premium customers are going to want to choose you above any other brand when being faced with the options.
Okay.
I mean, I think if we assume that, let's say it is a smaller market, but it's a smaller market that are probably travelling more often anyway. So, the fact of the matter is, again, that's an assumption, but the fact of the matter is, you might be targeting a smaller market, but they're travelling more regularly, which in itself will outweigh the majority that are looking for that price-sensitive side of things, the Ryanairs and so on.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, Singapore haven't ignored the low-cost airline route. They just haven't eroded their brand by adopting that approach with the core brand, which is Singapore Airlines. What they've done is they've partnered with Ryanair on delivering a low-cost solution where Ryanair's core competence lies in the operational delivery of that solution, and Singapore purely investing in the business. I think it's called Tiger.
Okay, right. Interesting.
Best of both worlds.
Because surely you can only delight your customers so much. Surely the champagne and the double bed is only going to delight customers for so long. I mean, what other options are there available?
When you're flying a lot, the champagne and the double bed make a big difference.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the technology that drives some of these CRM and information gathering loyalty type systems. Where do you see those developing in the future?
eCRM, I suppose, it goes back to data. There's just so much data out there. If anything, the problem isn't the lack of data, it's the time in being able to understand and actually sift through that knowledge. Websites have log files. Log files track everything that an individual does, where they came from, how they came there, the pages that they visited when they were in. And that's the behavioural targeting side of things, as opposed to the who are my potential market and what do they like. It then takes that a step further. And I think that the future for CRM is that on the eCRM side of things, we collaborate that information. We take the traditional CRM, we take the behavioural targeting side of things, and you mesh them together to get the bigger picture. But we're a way off something like that yet.
Yeah, the beauty of loyalty and CRM programs is that it gives you a mechanism to capture data about your customers. It's exactly right. What you do with that data is critical. Your ability to analyze the data and to gain insight that allow you to communicate with your customer effectively enough to change their behavior the next time they purchase, to incentivize the next purchase, to cross-sell, to upsell. That is the power of CRM, and that's the power of loyalty.
Okay.
It's sort of online surveys, sort of having little surveys that pop up during the process. They're not too intrusive during the sales process, during the funnel that we try to take visitors through in an online market. It's asking golden questions that in themselves give you much more information than the question would allude to. Typical example being something like, for us in our industry as a digital marketing agency, understanding if we were to ask the question, when did you first set up your website? Getting a feel for that date in time would tell you how open they are to new technologies. If it was fairly late in the day, you would know that they're not necessarily open to new technologies, whereas if it was at the very beginning, well, then you can change completely the way that you approach that person, the way that you market to them, the offers that you provide to them, the services that you try to sell to them. And that's kind of where CRM's going.
Okay. So that makes sense to go down that route, but surely the systems are difficult to implement, they're expensive, somebody has to analyse the data and administer them. If Ryanair want to change their position and go after go down the quality service route, how easy is it going to be for them to pursue a strategy like that?
I don't think it's in their interest to pursue a strategy like that. That's not what they're focused on. They're focused on getting as many people through their aeroplanes, as getting them in and out as quickly as possible. A company like Singapore, however, is looking for a different result from the data they capture. They're looking to truly understand the behaviors of their customers, to know when they fly, to know what their preferences are, and to start communicating with them and delivering the service to them based on either what they're anticipating or exceeding their expectations, and creating moments of magic which allow them to tell other people about it and create word-of-mouth exposure for the brand.
Okay. Andrew?
Agreed completely. I can't say much more.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. So, just to bring this back to the Singapore Airlines case study now then, we asked our viewers a question regarding the impact of CRM systems, and from what I'm hearing from the discussion today, we're concluding that CRM systems have an extensive impact. Is that correct? Louisa?
I think that the important thing to recognise is who is your target market and what do they want from your brand. Now, Singapore Airlines are clearly targeting a market who are not price sensitive and who are looking for the value add. So therefore the CRM program is absolutely crucial for them in terms of delivering something that customers are going to absolutely love.
Okay. Andrew, any closing comments?
No, agreed completely. It is, their target market is the market that's not price sensitive. As a result, it is that value added. It is the luxury. It's the experience. It's buying into that, and their CRM allows them to do that through the loyalty system. So,
okay, great. Well, it's been a very interesting discussion. Louisa, Andrew, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.